welcome everyone. I'm Glenda Dawson, and I have Sarah Garcia, Moongirl, here with us. And of course, you're watching the Paranormal Dolls. Of course, you would be, right? Where else could you be on this day at this time? Nowhere else, just here. Well, maybe unless you're going to visit our guest. But before I introduce him, just wanted to let you know you can find us on Roku TV, on Amazon Fire TV, on Apple TV, so many other streaming platforms, on the Glenda's Magical Creations channel, on the Conscious Awakening Network. So, hi, Sarah.
Hi,
How are
Glenda.
you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, beautiful
I feel
day.
like
Beautiful
I've
day.
had better days. No,
No, no, no. It's a beautiful day, right?
it's a
Because when
beautiful day.
something happens and it still works out, it's a beautiful day.
Yes.
So, and now let's
No
introduce
harm,
our
no foul.
exactly. Let's introduce our great guest, Joe Pieri, who is the owner of Para Oddities. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here today.
Great. And we're excited to have you here.
Really.
Yes. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm old. I've been in this field since 1986. It all started in high school, where we had to write a thesis to graduate in high school, and I had a science professor who was a little off tilter. We used to call him the redheaded Einstein. He was my mentor when I wrote my thesis to graduate, and he told me to think outside the box. I don't want anything straight and narrow. I want you to get a little on the wild side, like break off and do what you need to do. So I chose the paranormal, mediumship, ESP, and psychic abilities. He liked it. I liked it. And then he took me on my first paranormal investigation, which
Nice.
I was hooked at the age of 18. Big mistake. He got me when I was young. But I was fascinated. I wrote a lot of papers through college about this field. And I've been studying it ever since, off and on. Now, lately that I'm retired from the corporate world, I decided to open up a paranormal oddity store. It's in Depew, New York, just outside of Buffalo, New York. It's a lot of fun. It was a gamble because I started from scratch, but I like challenges. So I started off in a real small store, outgrew it within 2 years, and now we're in a 2,400 square foot storefront with venue. That's incredible. It's in an 1890s building with a beautiful copper dome up top. It's gorgeous. I love it there, and it's the best thing I've ever done. I wish I would have started this younger, but as we know, 10, 15 years ago, this wasn't accepted as much as it is today. So it was a challenge. I'm glad I took the challenge. Every day is an adventure for me, and I love everything about it.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the more obscure objects that you have in your awesome store?
Yes, I can. Well, when we first started, the oddities was oddities. Up here in New York State, they had to change the law on who can have these oddities and who can sell them. I didn't fall underneath that criteria, but we used to have skulls. We had a shrunken head. We had
I
things
love
like
them.
that.
Those are so expensive and
Gorgeous
hard to
stuff.
find.
But, as I could probably spill it here because I don't think they're going to bother me anymore. I kept one of the shrunken heads. It's still in display in the store, but it's hidden with the haunted/attached items. So when you look into a cabinet, which I have this cabinet in the center of the paranormal section, you can see a bunch of attached haunted objects, and it sits right in the middle. And I think that keeps everything balanced in there because I have everything from good and bad in that cabinet.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating because sometimes that cabinet will vibrate and shake for no reason.
Wow.
So, what kind of items? We know they're haunted, but what kind of items?
Well, I have a doll from England that was shipped to me because the people say that they were afraid of it. Come to find out that this item is pretty decent. She gave us her name through voice recorder. She said it was Valerie. She's beautiful, and she claims she's a healer. Now, in 2016, I had cancer. And in 2020, I had COVID real bad. And I did a 180 with both of them. And I'm not saying it's the doll, but I'm saying it's the doll. Does that make any sense? It's unbelievable. I had back problems. I had all these kidney problems. They don't exist anymore.
Wow.
I do pray. I do
Mhm.
that. I contribute a lot to what I believe in, my faith.
Right.
But there's something about this doll. When I would go to work, I would feel not healed, but zero pain,
Mm.
and it's remarkable. So that doll is never leaving. It's part of this cabinet, and I think she's the number one contributor to that cabinet. She's in charge.
Mm.
I put her in charge. Now, there are other items that are pretty bad. We have a temporal possession mirror, which is a mirror that a 12-year-old had purchased at a garage sale. And when he took it home, he went south. He was a good kid. I guess he started hurting his parents in multiple ways.
Wow.
And then the parents saw him saying bad things, asked us to come get it. The kid put up a fight. And then 3 days after, he didn't even know he had it. But this mirror will swear at you, will call you names. It's in there. We have it pretty well protected. It's with other tough items, a lot of like books. We have a small book from Seattle. We have a floor panel from Seattle that kids were saying there was something attached to, and we got it, and there was. These objects inside the case will start to shift too. You'll hear a rumble in the glass case, and all the stuff will start to sway back and forth. It only happens once in a while, but it's fascinating because we'll get mediums that come in and they'll stare at them and look at me and say, "Uh-oh, what's in there? I can feel it over here." And I'm like, they're light and fluffy, I used to say all the time. But the good mediums would say, "I don't like this one." They would point to the tough ones. I mean, we have part of the house of Hinsdale House. It's up here in New York State. It's a very, very famous house because it's the only house in New York State that actually had an exorcism that was approved by the Vatican. And we have some of the clapboard of the original house. My friend Dan owns the house now. And you get to study it quite often. And to me, that's the real deal. That house will give you a lot. Some days it's real quiet, little farmhouse. But other days, you swear you were in a movie, which is fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah, that's well, I'm really impressed with the shrunken head because I've always wanted one, like so bad. And not only did I want one, I'm kind of greedy. I wanted a female one. Even more rare to find female ones because normally it's like men who went to battle and war and women wouldn't.
Yep.
So there's a few like sporadically here and there, but that was like top tier for me. I was like one day, like at least someone like next to me, take a picture, anything. So that's I need to go because I'm super curious and I want to do the damn shrunken head in here.
If you got to look into Ecuador, they're willing to barter the heads away for material. That's how I got mine. I was with 3 other people. I can't mention the name, but they're
down.
actors.
Sign me up.
It took us about 6 months of bartering, and finally they took the mules and the shiny slats of steel of the tribe. But they'll execute women as sacrifice, and they'll do the shrunken heads. And they do it quite often, and it's scary. But we were able to block those stories. It's funny. The barter had to start off in Brazil and go into Ecuador because Ecuador is broken into 3 different quarters. There's the modern part of Ecuador, and then there's the tribal end, which you do not touch, you do not talk to, you don't get near them, and it's dangerous to go in there. And this barter would go in because he was close to the tribes, and luckily we got the 4 heads that came out, and the 3 actors that I was involved with, they didn't get theirs because theirs was shipped in through San Diego, and mine came up through Atlanta for some reason and made it.
Wow.
But boy, does it smell. Whew. You want to talk an odor? I have it in a double glass just to make sure. And you got to mummify it every 6 months or so. You have to apply these oils because it will decay. And they only last between 10 and 15 years because finally they start to break down, and you'll
Right.
see it. The nose will collapse in, and it
Yeah.
gets black around the eyes, and then they
Mm.
just fall out, and it's kind of crazy because inside the head itself, you still see all the veins and the
Wow.
attached, the eye
Wow.
sockets are still there. It's crazy.
Wow.
It really is.
The closest thing to one is like a fake little toy one that I like
Yeah.
carry around.
Yeah, and it's funny because sometimes they'll glue the mouth or they'll sew the mouth.
Yeah.
Saw them out
But
there.
lately they've been gluing it. They use some type of material to hold it shut.
Hmm.
I have a little gap in mine, and I always used to put a little piece of red thread through it, make it look like a tongue
Right.
hanging out of it, because that's what they used to tie the tongue, hold
Right.
it out, is when they did the head, trying to preserve the tongue as much as possible. It's, I don't mind having it, but it is time consuming to keep it up.
Well, if you
Because-
don't want it, I am more than happy to take it off your hands.
I don't know about
Anything
that.
of the
I have to
week.
keep this one just for the unbelievable factor on. I mean, there's universities that are after it. New York State
Yeah.
told me to get rid of it, and I hid it. I had one that was pretty well broken down. I surrendered that one, hoping they would leave me alone. And ever since COVID, I think they forgot about that I have it, and which is good. Because that's my prized possession.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, you know what? Now you're gonna have to hide it because people are gonna watch this, and I don't want you to get put in the
I've
safe.
had people try to get in the case to take it. All right?
Really? Oh my goodness.
It's, in the case that it's in, it's tricky because it doesn't open like a normal case.
Right.
So they can't figure it out. And I have some objects attached to the case to give a little bit of making them shun them away a little bit. And
Mhm.
you know what? I always say if you steal from a voodoo shop, not a good idea.
Not a good idea. Yeah.
Speaking of voodoos, like what other like voodoo do you have? What voodoo stuff do you have in there?
Right.
Well, I make voodoo. We
Oh.
have classes in our venue where you can come in, you can make a love voodoo doll, a juju doll, a straight up voodoo doll.
Mm.
We do things like sugar skulls, healing trees. We have lecture series. We do events in there. We actually had a small little concert with a guitarist who was studying inside the paranormal and the voodoo. He was phenomenal. We do all different types of things. We actually have dinners in there as well. We do dinner and a voodoo doll. So
Oh.
we make it a romantic thing because you make love voodoo. And love voodoo is
Oh.
very powerful because it's to entice your partner for coitus.
It's romantic as heck, Glenda.
Yes, I know.
Nothing like a little voodoo and love to get the blood boiling.
And they work.
Yes.
Take
Back
some
in
wine.
2019 Yeah.
Bring your own
Get the
beer,
wine.
whatever, man. You're good to go. Valentine's Day, perfect.
That's what we do. Valentine's is a big time there. And in 2019, we had the FBI book the entire event for their agents.
Wow.
And
How
Wow.
so now we do a private one for them because
Right.
they enjoy coming there. But, I always tell them, remember, who had you do this? Keep me out of the red or the black box, whatever you have, the black book. But they're fun. They're fun people, and they enjoy it. We serve all different types of, faiths and beliefs there too. We have Catholic, we have Jewish stuff there. We have even demonics there, or demonic Satanism is there. Whatever you believe in, you can find something inside the shop itself.
Okay.
I studied all religions and read about it so I would understand what each one was.
Mhm.
And it's funny because they all come back to one, no
Yes.
matter what it is.
Exactly.
I have my theories on what's our God in this, but I'm Catholic, I'm Christian, I'm Jewish, I'm Muslim. I study it all. I practice everything just because I don't want to miss the boat. Just in case.
Just in case you want to say you're all of those religions.
I cover my.
Remember, well, basically all of it is love. We start in
Mhm.
love, we go back to love, right? Everything in
is.
between has been kind of rewritten by humans.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
And it got lost in translation so many bloody times. The Bible's been, it's been rewritten so many bloody times. So,
Well, and the Vatican has the Bibles with the original pictures of spaceships and all that other stuff.
yeah.
Right.
So
And I got to talk to a bishop about that.
yeah.
And his belief was talking about extraterrestrial
Mm-hmm.
as contact to the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him, and he looked at me because he knew I was in the audience when he was
Right.
giving this lecture.
Uh-huh.
And when he said it, he eyeballed me directly. And I looked at him, and I
He
winked at
eyeballed you. That's funny.
him. And everyone turned their head and started looking at me like, "Who's this guy?" And I'm like,
But it's true. It's very true. So you're talking about all these types of classes. Do you have any classes coming up?
well, for the month of June and partial July, we shut it down because everyone's doing graduations. They're getting into the summer thing. But we do a massive cleaning. We'll redecorate if we have to. We'll add stuff to it.
Right.
But this time I'm going to leave it open for crafting. So
Right.
it's starting next Friday, a week from this Friday. It'll be open for crafting, meaning you can walk in off the street, and I'm going to have a menu of items. You can do voodoo, healing trees, and it's like going to a restaurant.
Right.
You can order what you want to do, and it'll be open during business hours, which is nice. And we like to offer all different types of things. And we're going to expand a lot more. There's so much more. I mean, the theory of a Dybbuk box that's out there. When you study Judaism, it's a Dybbuk is just praying to your relatives. There is no box. It's called an All Souls box.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they used to communicate with their relatives. And we make those here, but it's a positive one. But they're gorgeous, plaster things. You put what you want in, we seal it, and it becomes yours. We wrap it with chain. We put a lock on it. We give it the creepiness if you want to go creepy, if you want flowers on, whatever you want. It's your box, and we can love doing that.
But I'm super interested because I've always wanted to go to an oddity shop and stuff, and where I'm from, it's kind of hard to go see one. But I am so down to go. I want to go one day to your shop. It seems like awesome. I'm going to drag Glenda with me, and we're going to go.
I have a feeling one of these days I'm going to get a telegram. I'm moving to Pennsylvania. Or an email. I'm moving to Pennsylvania. I can't handle it over here anymore.
It's a lot of fun. Like I said, we're a place where people can come and have fun. You're not judged there. And I think that's what draws everyone in too. And everyone walks in and say, "Oh, it's so nice and positive in here." And I'm thinking, well, that's what we're about.
Right.
We're here to talk. I mean, we even have a spell room. You can go in and make spells.
Nice.
And that's a very, very popular one.
I bet.
It's a lot of fun, and we're just starting to introducing new product, which is nice. It's starting to come in now, and that's where I was supposed to be today, so shame on me. Stocking, but I'll get it done this week. I have about 10, 15 cases ready to be opened up, and we have more coming. But I love doing the events. I just love doing the events. And around Halloween, it blows up. We have the 716 witches here, and they do the dumb supper, and it's phenomenal. We do 24 people, and it sells out with about an hour, and it's fully catered, and everything is black with candlelight, and it's gorgeous.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Like, gorgeous. Sign us up.
I know.
And it's great. And we do all fun things. We do Victorian seances. We do paranormal experiment nights.
Nice.
We do spirit box where we all get involved. We contact like a conjurer around a table. I should say conjure. That sounds kind of rough, but it's more of a seance to get the spirits to communicate. And it's mind-blowing. And what even makes it even better, the place is haunted.
Ooh.
I love it.
Nice.
Just the history of what that building was remarkable.
I was about to ask you, since you said haunted, like haunted because the objects, or haunted because the location, the building was already haunted?
Well, the building is already haunted. That is definitely, it's from 1890, start off as a medical facility.
Oh,
so it's haunted.
It's haunted. It's haunted.
And I hate to say it, but there was a murder in 1982 in that building. And it's a cold case. And it was on Halloween of all nights.
Of course.
He was dressed up as Dorothy, and he had lost his girlfriend to someone at the bar, and I guess it escalated into a fight, and they still don't know who did it.
Oh.
But he's there, and he answers the questions.
Hmm.
We get visuals in the building. You'll see this oblong figure, and it looks like a big piece of black cardboard floating, and then it vanishes. And then it travels, because we have a little mystical pathway you take to get into the venue. You walk in the hallway, and it's all purple. It's got the lights, it's got gargoyles, and you transform into the venue from the store. So It's like two separate areas, and it's awesome when you walk through, because that's the path that it likes to take. And it's great, because in the venue, you'll see it on the upper bowl. You'll see it circle. You'll see it go down the middle. A lot of people have seen it. And I always tell them, when you buy the ticket, this is what could happen in the room. And people love it. Once in a while, you hear the crowd go, oh, and I'm thinking, okay, they must have saw something over there. And it's fun. Like I said, we do a lot of live events there, too. Some nights we'll run a camera with red light, and it goes for 8 hours. And you can watch and see what happens. We do that. I think we do too much, don't we?
No.
I'm
Never
down
enough.
to do all of it. Sign me up.
There's never enough this kind of stuff, please.
I truly enjoy it. My number one passion is the research into the paranormal. I've been doing it a long time. I believe in real paranormal research. And I think we're on the border of opening something up and finding the truth behind everything.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We're getting
right
close.
there. We're right there. We're right there. And there's going to be a lot of people's mouth going, and we're going to be like, yeah, I knew it.
Exactly. And then we'll become mainstream, and then it'll get real crazy in this field.
Now, you mentioned the haunted doll. Besides the haunted dog, have you ever brought any other haunted objects, or that you were aware of, or you just felt they were haunted?
Well, a short story. I collected a lot of this, and I had them in a storage unit. And one day I get a call from the storage unit saying, we need you to come down immediately. So I did, and the police department was there. And I'm looking, going, what's going on? And they said they heard screaming coming from my locker. It was a 10-by-8 locker, and they heard screaming. I just gave a chuckle, like, oh, it's nothing to worry about. We get that all the time. And the police looked at me, and they told me to open it. We opened it, and all the boxes had a haunted object written on it, what was in it. And the police looked at me and said, I'm not going in there. And I told them, they'll scream. This is what attached items do. And the owner looked at me, and she's like, listen, you have 3 months left in your lease. I will give you 3 months free if you promise to leave. So we did. We had a ton of them. I had to ship them all over the country to different collectors. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. Down to only maybe 20 to 30 objects now. I do have some tough voodoo dolls in there from West Africa, which are phenomenal. Things like that. What else do I have in there?
Now,
I know
those African voodoo dolls, what are they made of? Because
it's cloth, stick, and clay.
Okay.
They're wrapped tight. It's clay, a clump of clay. They'll etch like a face in it. They're very rough looking,
right.
But they're incredible. Incredible. You can see the love and the time that they put into these actual dolls. You can see like animal hair shoved into it, stuff like that. I won't put those into the cabinet because I don't know them that well. They're in my private collection in the back. Because my wife asked me to, please don't put those in there because that might, and I get it, because voodoo's very, very funny. It can go either way. And when you're making the doll, if you're feeling agitated, it's what's going to go into the doll. So we always make a meditation before we build. That's why we do dinner and love voodoo. Food relaxes you. Wine relaxes you. You make a true doll of passion and love for your partner.
Right.
And they're just stimulate the coitus. And they work. I get people all the time. They paint them out, and they'll put all this crazy hair on them. And you actually put the body parts of your partner. And that's how you put bells on it. You ring the bell, and it's supposed to drive your partner crazy, no matter where they are. And they work. That's a popular one.
I could see that. I could see that. So, you have the West African voodoo dolls, and what other haunted stuff do you have?
Well, we have up top, let's see. Ooh, we got so much in there. Um, we have Ed Gaines, the murder house.
Yeah.
We have its soil in there. We went down. They actually gave us some soil, and
Oh.
that's in there.
That's pretty awesome.
We got this bottle from the early 1700s, the Ebenezers who first came over and settled in West New York and fought the Indians. And that bottle is just bad news. I don't know why. What so much negative energy is associated with that bottle. Trying to think what else. We have so much in there. It's kind of crazy, but I love it.
Do you have them up for sale, or you're just like through a website? Do you have them up for sale?
No, I won't. I will not sell these objects. I won't do that to anybody, especially these tough ones. The ones I had in the storage locker were all donated. If someone said, I want to buy it, I told them to write a check to the Buffalo Food Bank, and we did it that way because it's taboo to actually sell an object. That's why when you see these haunted objects that are sold on eBay, first of all, that's a red flag right there. Purchasing a haunted object is not good, first of all, because it might act differently in your possession. I've seen that happen many times. I always tell people, be careful. If you want to make a haunted object, take it with you wherever you go. Let it gather energy. I used to have a doll that was taking on like 300 investigations, and it was gathering energy, and it had a little punch to it. But the people who did it, and they gave it to me because they were scared of it, wanted it back. And I said, certainly, I'd give it back to you, because I'm not the type of guy that says, no, it's mine, 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 mine.
Right.
I'll hold it for you. I'll study it and see what's attached to it. And it had some bite to it, and they wanted to do more study to it. And it went back to the university, the original university. And it's funny how that story was, because they didn't know where it went. And I was watching a podcast, and they were talking about it. And I'm like, I think I have your doll.
Wow.
And they were like, what? And they all started going crazy. And they offered all the money, and I said, I don't want money for it. It's taboo to do it that way. That's why it's very, very dangerous to do things like that. I actually collect Ouija boards, meaning people bring them in when they're done with them, and I'll dispose of them.
Yeah.
They go right in the Niagara River. And dispose of them that way. Quick story on that. I had about 15 boards, and it was an early Sunday morning, and I'm flipping them into the river. And a policeman goes, wait, what's going on? I said, well, the only way to get rid of these, he goes, do what you got to do. I don't want to know anything. He walked away, and I threw them in. About 4 hours later, I was having lunch at a restaurant right across from the river. We're on the upper deck, and you hear a guy down below saying that he was fishing, and all these Ouija boards came by him. They pulled up anchor in their lines, and they got out of there, and they were, my wife looked at me. She goes, oh, it's got to be you. She goes, you're going to tell him? I said, that's a story he's going to tell in the bar for decades. So let him enjoy it. But, yeah.
Hilarious.
I can just see that.
So this is a museum then.
Yeah, can you imagine that? All the Ouija boards come
And
by.
they're ripping out of here.
It took them like 2 minutes, I guess, to get the lines on anchor up and gone, which is fine.
Those are the funny stories. Very funny.
Yeah. For doing it for so long, you have these stories, and I keep a lot of journals, and I write them in there because when I'm gone, I want my grandkids to understand why I chose to do this. And you throw these stories in, I'm sure they're going to have a laugh once in a while when they look at these stories. A lot of fun. I'm actually starting to make documentaries as well now. And we're doing, my first one is The Witches of 716 and the Hinsdale House. We're doing a story about a spirit called Wilhelm, who was associated with Hinsdale, but seems that everyone has forgotten about him. So that's going to be the doc. Where's Wilhelm? And we're going to do a short doc on that, about a half an hour, 45-minute doc. And we're just starting to storyboard them, get them ready to go. And next week and the week after, we'll start filming.
Nice. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. Life's good. Life is good.
And you're bringing out history that is not really in the books.
You know, I always say, leave a mark, leave a legacy. I mean, we all have the capability of making documentaries. We have these things called cell phones now that have high-tech cameras that are better than most cameras you buy and spend thousands of dollars on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to shoot these series on an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to do an iPhone series, and I shot a short one with my son, and it came out so good that people are like, oh, you had to use the Nikon or the Canon. And I just looked at them, I held up my phone and said, this is what I shot it with. And they're looking at me like, what? I'm thinking, yeah. That lens that's in this little camera, especially this one, on the other side of it is high tech. It's a glass lens, and that's what you need.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell us more about how you slowly came about and developed all these things in your store. How did you get all the inventory, or I know we know about the shrunken heads. We know about that.
People would call me and talk to me about an object, and then they would send it to me if it was too much. I was on a list, John Zathis and all these big guys around. I was on a list for people to dump them off on me. And it became too much because you'd come home and they'd be stacked on your porch. Oh. And I used to tell my wife, don't touch them. Just leave them there. I'll take them away. And I just said, I can't do it anymore. It was becoming pretty bad. And I know other collectors were saying the same thing. And now that I'm getting a little bit older, I don't want to leave anything like this behind. So I slowly started bringing it down. I got it down between 20 and 30 pieces left. Mm-hmm. But most of them I did research on, and people would contact me. I would interview them, talk to them. And I like the legit pieces. I really do. And these pieces I have, like I said, some nights that case will just vibrate like crazy, and you're just watching it. Nothing else is moving. Mm. And I know sometimes it likes to tip over the salt vials in there and tries to get away from it. But it's pretty contained as far as my ability. And so far, we've been lucky. And once in a while, you'll see a black shadow leave the case and zip away. But that's about it. I think it's the actual spirits that are in the building, curious of what in that case. Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, it's a mixture of everything. And it seems very peaceful at times. At night, it will set the alarm off. Drives me crazy. But it's fun. And I get a call from the local police department saying, is it a human or is it a ghost? And I say, ghost. Oh, we'll meet you there. And then they ghost hunt for an hour and a half. And there's like 10 police cars around the building. I'm thinking, this doesn't look good. But, we have fun. And it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be educational. It's supposed to be, I don't know. I always tell people, being in this field is so exhilarating. It's so fascinating. Mm-hmm. It's like the never-ending story. It's like, I'm dating myself to those books where I used to, like the Hardy Boys. You're always on an adventure. And I love it so much that I love to ghost hunt. I love to go to haunted locations. I love history. Mm-hmm. I like to soak this in, document it, be part of the history if we can. I don't know. Normal life stuff is starting to bore me a little. It's kind of scary, isn't it? But I like this adventure stuff. I like the odd and unusual.
Can you tell us about some of the stuff that you have documented?
Oh, boy. Oh, tons of stuff. Most of it's haunted locations. I love to document stuff like that. There was a place that was up towards Lake Ontario, and I was studying for about 2 months, and I was writing a whole series of lectures and books or passageways into books, and it was a never-ending story, meaning no matter what you wrote down, it would always change or add to it. And after 2 months, I had to, pull myself away because I do have a family. I can't spend it there all the time, and I think that's the one that really got me into opening my own store. And I wanted it to be in a haunted location. I wanted it to be something special. I didn't want a consignment style store with fluorescent lights. it had to, when you walk in, you have to have that feeling of I'm somewhere different, I'm somewhere
Mm.
special, and I love that because half of the experience is the eye contact of where you are. And I use Disney's platform of if you don't see the shock at all when you first walk in, it means nothing. You can sell the best product in the world. If you don't have that, wow, I'm somewhere special, it's that. But my site is special. It's a little different than Disney's, you know? And it is. It's like I have gray and purple walls. I have lights that hang. They're beautiful. I have spotlights on certain product. Everything looks like the wooden shelves, a little bit antique looking to it. It's not like the clean look of a store. It's something different. And what you see in that store is what my vision and what was in my heart. And when we opened the venue, I said, it just can't be a normal venue. It can't be a door to enter in. I had to make a passageway. I had to cut through 3 solid brick walls that went all the way up to the roof. And it was a chore, but it's something special. And that's what I love about it. I really do. And I'm actually writing passages on this building, my experiences. And I'm going to do a short doc on it as well because I just love it. I love this stuff. I really do.
Yeah, so do we. So do we. Now, before we get too much further, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, email Para
Mm-hmm.
Oddities
Mm-hmm.
at AOL.com. I love the AOL because the hackers don't even bother with AOL anymore. That's why I
Right.
use it. Sounds crazy, but everyone thinks AOL and they think of 1990s. And I love that because the hackers say, I ain't going to go there. They're all, this and that. You can start there. You can follow us on our website, paranormaloddities.com. Right now, it's a little behind with the new events because we're starting to do more. We're actually going to work on it this week where you're going to see all the new events popping up, especially all the crafting that's going to happen in there. The documentary, you're going to have a new space in the website where you can watch all the documentaries as well.
Nice. Nice.
I'm not charging anyone to watch these because I believe writing the documentaries for educational reasons, entertainment reasons, and I don't charge anything for that. I want people to enjoy it. I want people to say, hey, wow, this makes sense, or this is fascinating. I need to look at more of it. Things like that. You can hit me on Facebook as well. I'm Joe Para Oddities
Okay.
on Facebook, and then there's Paranormal Oddities and Venue on Facebook. Instagram's the same. Things like that, and I'll post some crazy stuff here and there. We'll do some lives on there, and we have a lot of fun doing it. And also, I have a show called Para Blues, where I talk about things in the paranormal. I do Spirit Box Live with our Spirit Tower. We do that as well, which is a lot of fun. We keep it fun. We keep it interactive. I build gear and I showcase to people how to build it, what it's for. And that's always a fun one as well.
Mm-hmm. So out of all the pieces, was there one that you resonated more or was your favorite?
Valerie, the doll.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe when I tell that story about how it heals, but it does. And I don't know why. I should not be here today. The 2 things I faced against, I should not be here. And this, for some reason, I know it's probably further than that, but there's something about this doll. And when she said she was a healer, and it's on voice recordings, my name's Valerie. It was very polite. And people will come in once in a while and they'll go up to Valerie and say, Valerie, I need help. And things seems to work. No, I'm not going to go online and post all this stuff and say, hey, get in line for this. It'll cure you. I just think that she helped me through some tough times. That's a doll that's probably going to be with me forever.
Right. Well, if you did it that way, then she could first get annoyed,
Yes.
And stop helping. She's helping because she likes to heal and she likes to provide or facilitate the healing. And,
Absolutely.
no matter what other stuff came into play, she kind of led you to wherever you needed to go. So that's the key here. Um, so, what was one of your? I'm going to have to ask this. What was one of your least favorite pieces?
Uh, someone had brought back from New Orleans
Uh-huh.
a piece of mortar from the cemetery, a voodoo
Oh,
cemetery.
oh.
And they said it caused a lot of problems. They brought it to me. And it caused a lot of problems with me in
Hmm.
my store. Goes back to the first store, the smaller one. Electrical problems, heating problems, just you would come in, you would feel a heaviness, things like that. And I knew it was associated to that doll. Now, I could tell you a story about that piece. It's so hard to believe. I have a hard time believing it. I'm thinking for some reason I was knocked out and I dreamt this. But to me, it was so real
Hmm.
because I was in the store closing up and something happened to me that just, it's unbelievable. And I still can't wrap it around, but I did have other people witness it as well. And I still talk to them about it. And they're like, I have no idea what that was. And it's mind blowing. But that piece was not good. We actually shipped it back to New Orleans and they threw it back in the cemetery.
Well, that's good. That probably is where it belongs.
Oh yeah.
Has anyone ever gotten hurt or felt like they picked something up after they went to your place, or
I
they?
get people say that. Yeah. They're saying I think I have an attachment. Uh, you can get attachment walking down the street.
Yeah.
They're all around us. Number one place to get attachment is hospitals.
Mhm.
You have sudden tragedy, you have death. They don't know they're dead. They don't jump on your back, go home with you for some reason. They just attach you, and then they freak out because they're in your kitchen and they don't know where they are. And that's a common thing with a lot of my clients that call and say, I think my place is haunted. Just started. I'll ask that question. Were you in a hospital? Oh
Mhm.
yeah, we were. Well, good news. Lasts 3 to 4 weeks and it vanishes.
Mhm.
Uh, it's just energy won't stick to a location unless it has something associated with that location. And it's the same thing with the product. It doesn't mean the spirit lives in that product like the doll. The doll is a connection. It's a way to communicate to us through that product. I had a haunted cabinet, and I'm thinking, why would someone want to be in a cabinet? And it actually answered, I'm not, what cabinet? And they didn't know they were in a cabinet.
Oh,
So I
okay.
come to the conclusions that they just talked through that product. Uh, I had to get rid of that cabinet. That cabinet would just, you would hear it go, like make a scratchy sound across the floor, and you're like, it's moving. And I'm thinking, how is this thing moving? And the drawers would just fire open, and it would drop all the pens and everything I had on. I'm like, oh. So, and it became too much. Even my son said, Dad, I'm not going in that back room. There's something back there. And I said, it's got to be this thing. We got rid of it. We got rid of
Right.
it.
Well, sometimes it's a little too energetic.
It's got a little punch to it sometimes,
Right.
Doesn't mean it's evil because people like to slap malevolent on everything.
Yeah.
Again, you're talking 37 years of doing this. I don't think I ever ran into that.
Hmm.
My toughest one was a Native American case. They want nothing to do with us. Those spirits, they don't want us. They don't want to talk to us. They don't want to associate with us. And I get it. I
Hmm.
get it. I always say, stay in my lane. That's my lane is not there. It's here. And I respect them for that.
I'm a little lucky in that respect. I do talk to them, but I think it's probably have to do with the fact that I have it in my DNA. I do
You have
have
the
some
blood.
yeah.
Yes.
So which I didn't know till about a year ago. I did one of those DNA 23andMe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My kids gave me for a present.
And you're connected. And that's
Yeah.
what they want. They don't want, like, I don't have anything in me. They
Right.
don't care about me. It's fine. There was their belief, and I respect it. I leave them alone.
Yeah. Well, they were really abused and all that, so you know
Absolutely.
they have things to deal with.
That's right. They're very spiritual people.
Hmm.
They believe in coming back as their native animal. They get to choose what they want, and that's why half the time you might hear a growl. Doesn't mean it's malevolent. It could be a native spirit associating maybe to a wolf,
Hmm.
whatever they choose to attach. My spirit animal's an owl. There's something about owls. They're very curious. They just sit and watch.
Hmm.
And that's what I do. I'm more on the back row and I watch. And I soak in. But that's what makes it great. We're all different.
Right.
And I love that. And I'm a people person.
So we heard that you had said it that you like to go paranormal investigating and you travel different places. What was one of your most, I wouldn't like to say favorite, but most interesting place that you've gone
Hinsdale House. If you get a chance,
to? Yeah.
that is a must. It actually moved the house on us.
Hmm.
I had a police detective with me, and we're sitting there, and I said, geez, we're talking about the Wilhelm guy. And I said, if you're really this big, you're that much energy, what can you do? And the house literally bounced up.
Ooh.
And he looked at me and said the energy had to come from beneath because our knees buckled. We didn't sway.
Right.
And I said, okay, what does that mean? Then you hear a voice says, it was me. It's clear as day. We have it on a voice recorder. And I said, my goodness, if that's you, you certainly can do it again. And it did it again. That made us sit down quickly. And we're trying to figure this out. We're trying to communicate. And this is where it gets a little bit of a twist. Clara Miller, back in the 70s, who had the exorcism done there, she had written in a book about aliens, extraterrestrial, on the location. And my friend Joe is a police detective. We're sitting there, and it's about 6 o'clock at night. The sun is just about ready to disappear, so you can still see. We had a figure walk through the living room. And we didn't say a word. We just looked at it, and it had a figure of an alien. As soon as he looked at me, he goes, what are we looking at? I said, I have no idea. So it walked over to like the corner, and it stood by a window. And I always add humor to things. So I said to it, I believe your cloaking device is failing. And it turned, it spiraled, and it was gone. After that, we had contact Clara. I said, Clara, did you ever see anything in the house? She says, oh, yeah, certainly we did. And I described it. She goes, oh, yeah, that's one of them. And that was, to me, the most amazing thing, because I don't know if I was looking at a ghost or something from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I kind of starting to link everything together a little bit. That house is phenomenal. It will talk to you. It will move things for you. It will make you feel comfortable like it's your home. They call it like a sucker house that pulls you in. You feel comfortable, and then it gets you. There was another guy who got temporal possession there, and that's part of the interview we're going to do for the documentary. And I always tell it when we actually have a voice recording. It said, just die and come to me. And the first thing I did, I stood up and I said, absolutely not. That will never happen. None of us will ever do that. And it got mad. It got mad at us because I wanted to revoke it. I just pushed it away. I said, no, that's not why we're here. And that was the scariest EVP I've ever have gotten. It's because that threatened my faith. That's, was trying to do something. It was trying to get us to acknowledge something. I refused to do it. I think that's why the spirits there don't like when I'm there, because I'll ask some tough questions with them, but they know they can't get to me. I'm very protective when I walk in there, but it's my favorite location by far. It's just, and it's you're alone. It's a farmhouse tucked away. There's nothing around you. There's no contamination. And when things happen, you're floored. It's just mind blowing. Of cars pulling down the dirt road towards you, and then they vanish. It makes no sense. And you sit there and you shake your head. Now, wait, that's a car coming, right? You can hear it. You can see the headlights. You see the dust being kicked up, and then it's gone. And it's, I don't know if an alien's sitting up above taking it away as soon as it gets close to it. I don't know what's happening, but it's fascinating. So if you ever get a chance, highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
So it's going to be on your bucket list, Glenda.
Yeah, and my bucket list for sure. So where exactly is this now?
It's in Hinsdale, New York. It's in the western part of New York State, down by Bradford, PA, Olean, New York, in that area. So you're looking maybe from Lake Erie, about 40, 50 miles in. When it's easy to get from Pennsylvania or New York State. It's incredible. It's by far my favorite. I've been to a lot of locations, but there's something about that location that is just pure. I like it because there's no contamination. You're by yourself, and when you see figures standing in the window, it makes no sense. And you have cameras on the outside, and there's nothing there. It's mind blowing, mind blowing. I still think it's the land, but it's very, very strong. Very strong. It makes you feel like you're at home. You're like, oh, I could live here. And it goes, it flips. I always say the record turns over to B side, and then it gets you. And I like that. I like that shock and awe where you can actually, record it, video, talk to it, and hopefully understand what it's trying to say.
Good, good. So it's near Lilydale, or?
Yes, not too far from Lilydale. That's correct.
Okay, all right. Oh,
that whole area down there is very connected. It's almost like people call them portals or vortex. There's something about that area that the world is attracted to. And because people come from all over the world to Lilydale. And it's the pureness of Lilydale, and then you have the outskirts of the
can't get in. Can't get in.
Right. So that's what makes it special.
Right.
It's a little of each. And you get to study it. And I'm blessed. I'm an hour away from it. So.
Oh, very, very.
Yeah, I'll take that any day.
So now I know that you said you're going to have some craft classes, but what other classes do you have normally, like during the year?
We do Witch 101, and we do Witch Lab, where you make stuff associated with witchcraft.
Right.
We do, I have paranormal classes, 101, 102. We do a lot of those. We have paranormal experiment night, where we get crazy and we'll start to try different things, different gear, and we get it going. We do stuff like that. We do meetups. People can rent the room. They have their own meetups there. We'll actually rent the room. People have birthday parties in there. They want to have fun. They come in and say, can we rent the room? Well, absolutely. We do lectures, tons of lectures. We've done hypnos, which is great. We had Sebastian Black from New York City come in. We had Dustin Pieri here. We had Brian Cano here. We do a lot of small events lecture-wise and things like that. We do gallery readings. We do table tipping. We do Ouija board, where you learn how to use a Ouija board. There's so much. We do meditation nights. It's just whatever you could imagine, we will do. And we've had a lot. It was a great, great year last year. And now we're starting the second year involved. And now, right now, we're in the heavy cleaning. Like, we don't need this in the storeroom. Get it out of here. We want to make sure we have enough room for whatever happens. And it's a lot of fun. But the crafting's a lot of fun. People have a ball doing it. We have paint night. We have a visual. We'll put up like maybe a Hinsdale house. And then you're going to visualize yourself there, and you're going to see things. You're going to add it into the painting. And each person, it's so ironic. They always focus on one thing, and about 90% of the people paint the same thing.
Wow.
And it's almost like you're there. You're taking yourself and you're going for
What
a
is it
ride.
that they paint?
There's always a figure standing to the left side of the house. And they always paint the shadow figures just standing there. And that's where that shadow figure starts. Is always to the left of the house. It's mind blowing. The lady goes, I don't know why I painted this. I'm thinking, and I show her a picture. I actually have some pictures of shadow figures that we've caught there. And actually one coming out of the front door, running down the front of the house.
Wow.
A lot of fun things. But that's number one. The second one is something in the sky. Again, I'm thinking like a UFO.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Fun.
Good. And I'm sure that area being a little more quiet, more open, gives itself to more visitors.
Yeah.
It does. The town doesn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to bulldoze it twice.
Hmm.
And it was saved twice. And Daniel went in and bought the place so they couldn't touch it anymore. And it's, people know of it all through New York State. Oh, that's crazy. Don't stay there. Don't even go there. I mean, we have a person, the United States Marine, who lived in there 9 months. And he had to get his family out right away. He just threw him in his truck and said, we're leaving everything. We're going. Because it was so bad for him.
Wow. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
It's fun. Isn't that crazy? Is there something wrong up here?
No, we're all the same here, right?
I'm fascinated with the unusual. I don't like the day-to-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like things that are odd and unusual. I like to study. I want to know more about things. I'm not the type of guy that, like, when you went to school, like in the college, they fed you the same line they did for the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
I said, it hasn't changed in 30 years? What are we missing here? The guy likes to open things up.
There you go. Well, thank you, Joe. That was letting us know this fascinating stuff. Again, Moongirl is probably going to be your number one fan if you decide to depart with that shrunken head. She'll be right there going me 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 me. Hello.
I don't blame her. It's fascinating.
Excited.
When you come to the store, you can barely see it because it's hidden in the haunted cabinet. It's tucked where you can barely see it.
We'll just know now. We'll know. We'll scatter around.
You guys will be drawn to it. You'll find it.
You're gonna make a trip there, Glenda.
Yeah, exactly. And then he'll be like, "Where's that go? We have no idea."
What happened to Valerie? We lost Valerie.
We don't know. Thank you again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Moongirl, Sarah, as always, you look great. Thank you, everyone. Many blessings. Stay well and be good, but not that good. You have more fun that way. Bye.